Hey everybody, what's up? Gary Simon here. So today I have a fun one for you, and it's a challenge. So basically, when you're a new UI designer or an aspiring UI designer, when you're starting out, it's nice to design without any constraints. It makes it easier to produce good designs. But the truth of the matter is when you're working with clients or you're working with an employer, you have constraints. You have requirements that you have to operate within. And so what this little challenge aims to do is to simulate that, and I'm calling it Random UI. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is in a second, but I want you to participate in this challenge. I'm going to show you what my result is and working through the process, and then you can emulate it to come up with your own. And we can see there's this cool site called colorsandfonts.com. I stumbled across it today, but there's just basically a bunch of tools that they host here for designers. And what I'm doing is using the colors, where is it? Right here. Gradients, right here. So I'm using gradients, and that is not gradients. This is gradients. And what I'm going to do is choose with a random number picker, one of these random gradients, and that's going to be the background color that I have to use for my UI design. The second thing I have to do is use the font pairings tool. And there's about 20 different font pairings, and that as well would be picked with the random number picker. And then also I'm going to use 112 app ideas. It's just an article about app ideas. And so I will also choose one of those random things. So what this will allow us to do is to create some requirements or constraints that we have to operate within. And so we'll have to come up, we'll have to use the app idea that is chosen at random. We have to use the background color that's chosen at random, and we'll also have to use a font pairing that's chosen at random as well. I'm also going to right here use this, which is basically, I'm going to put all these links in the description. This is basically just a links to a bunch of illustrations that you can use for free, for most of them at least. And this will help, quickly give you illustrations that you can use for your UI designs. All right, so that's basically it. Feel free to keep watching to see my take on it and what I ended up with. And then once again, make sure you participate. As always, subscribe, and let's get started. Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Linode. Now, as a front-end developer or a designer, you know that you need a personal portfolio. And if you use a website builder like Wix or Squarespace, they lack total customization and they lock you into using their platform. But to be a pro, you need to use the tools that the pros actually use. So level up, start building your own projects and your own portfolio on an enterprise level content management system like WordPress or Drupal. Now, real web development sometimes requires knowledge of spinning up servers, managing domain names, and setting up an occasional staging environment. And there's no better or simpler way to learn the ins and outs of hosting your website than with Linode Cloud Hosting. Linode Cloud Hosting makes it as easy as possible for you to deploy a WordPress or Drupal website in seconds with the free Linode one-click app marketplace. So click on the very top link here in the YouTube description to get your free Linode account, along with $20 of free hosting and all the tools that you need to build enterprise class websites. All right, so I here have a blank document in Adobe XD. You can use whatever else you want, Sketch, Figma, etc. And here are my windows right here. So I have a few different tabs open. The very first one are the gradients, and there's 17 rows by 4 columns. I'm mentioning that for a specific purpose you'll see in a second. And also here are the font pairings. There's 20 different font pairings here. So I have no clue which one I'm gonna get. I also have 112 mobile app ideas here, and then also UI goodies for illustrations. That'll help us perhaps pick out something relevant based on the type of project that we have to create type of UI design rather. So I have my random number picker here. There's one built into Google, I didn't know that. And so we can put a min and max. So for the gradient that we're gonna have to use, we're going to choose first the row. So I'm gonna hit generate. So row number 7, and then I'm gonna put this between 1 and 4 because we have 4 columns. So row 7, column 4. All right, so row 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is it. All right, that's exciting right there. So what I will probably, they only give you access to the CSS. Let me see what that looks like in Notepad real quickly. Wait, I thought it said it was copied to the clipboard. And it doesn't appear to be. Okay. Well, what I will have to do is just get in here and get the, I'll pause and I'll get the color value right here to here, because it looks like there's just 2 color values right there. All right, that's kind of frustrating. Right here is the font pairings, and we have 20 of them. So let's choose 1 to 28. All right, so that happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, I lost my place. I suck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All right. So we have Paytone 1 and Cutive Mono. I don't even think I have either of those installed, but as you can see, there's a great discrepancy or disparity between the two in terms of font weight. This actually right here, this one appears to be a serif font, and this is sans serif right here. All right, very cool. So that'll be the one. I'm gonna go ahead and install those both before we proceed. And then here's the app ideas. All right, so there's 112 of them. Let's put 112, generate. 104. All right, so we're at the bottom of the list. Let's Control F 104. A decentralized, here, let me increase this. A decentralized skill assessment and freelancing app that will let people assess their particular skills through a series of automated tests or problems. Based on the skill assessment, the app will also connect job seekers with employers for freelance work around the world. That's a mouthful. A decentralized skill assessment and freelancing app that will let people assess their particular skills through a series of automated tests or problems. Okay, so basically, through tests, annoying surveys and tests about like maybe your code knowledge or your UI UX skills, whatever, this will basically give you your skills and probably give you a rating and connect you with would-be job seekers. So that's going to be the app idea. All right, I'm not sure how the decentralization plays into it, but whatever. That's what we'll go ahead and focus on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the color values, also get those 2 fonts installed, and then we will start the UI design and see if we can make this all work. All right, so I have the colors right here, which will turn into a gradient. We have our 2 fonts, and we have just a brief description of about, what type of landing page we need to create in order to make this all work. All right, so just to preface this, I did not design anything beforehand. It's literally been like 90 seconds since I paused, and I have no clue what I'm gonna be doing about this in terms of relevant illustrations and design and all that stuff. So we're just gonna take it as we go, and then hopefully I'll show you with minimal stress and problems that, if you understand UI design fundamentals, you can make something look good. Hopefully we'll get the UX, correct as well. We'll make it relevant and all just nice and good working. So let's go ahead and take our background. We're gonna do a gradient here, linear. This is gonna be the angle that they had. It's kind of like this. So this color value right here, let me copy this hex code. And we'll get back here. So this one is going to be this. And then we'll copy this one. We should just add this to the swatches, by the way. Let me do that real quick. Make my life a little bit easier. I always do things difficult at times. And then we'll go ahead, change this light area to this purple. Here we go. All right, so it's very pastel, right? So there's not a lot of contrast. It's on the lighter side. So we know anything that sits on top of it, it needs to be darker, right? So we can't use white because that would definitely fail the color contrast. Now, just to give you a tip, in case you don't know already, there's a variety of different color contrast checkers. There's one called Stark, which I've covered before in a video. You can do a YouTube channel search, but basically you can install it for XD or Figma. I think for other apps as well, probably Sketch. And you just go to plugins and Stark right here. So what's cool is rapid contrast checker. You get that out and we type in some text like hello. All right, so right now it's not working correctly because we think we have a background behind it. But if I do this and select both of these, we'll see that this actually right here with the black text that says hello and this background, this has a good 14.43 to 1 contrast. you definitely want for smaller text to be at least 4.1 or 4.5 to 1 ratio. So this, for instance, if we go white, that fails because it's only 1.45. You need to get to that 4.5 to 1 ratio, which is the double A, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines recommendations for having readable text. All right, 'cause some people have bad vision and stuff. So we definitely want to go. And you should always use this type of tool if you're in doubt. You know, if you have a white background and black text, you know you're going to be good. If you have a black background and white text, you know you're going to be good. Otherwise, make sure you check it just so you're safe. All right. Okay, a skill assessment app that lets people assess their particular skills through a series of automated tests and problems. So we're going to stick to basics. We're going to stick to standard conventions for the UI design, which means we're going to have a logo and a nav bar. And we're not going to go crazy putting like a vertical nav bar for this. We're going to keep it simple and familiar. So what do I want for the logo? Obviously, I don't have a logo for this, so we're just going to stick with a very simple word mark. And what are we going to call it? Skill assessor. I don't know. It probably already exists as a name. Hopefully, I'm not going to get any trouble because I don't know if this name. No, you know what? I'll just put. I don't want to put numbers in it, but I just want to be safe because you never know about copyright stuff. The Gary Assessor. I can pretty much guarantee you that doesn't exist. I think that's how you spell assessor, but I'm not sure. We could probably go with this font, possibly. We'll give it a shot. And again, that's Paytone. All right. I kind of don't like it for the logo, so you know what? I'm just gonna stick to standard Montserrat. Okay, we'll make it bold. No, not medium. There's a lot of weights here. All right, skill assesso. Okay. So next up, we're gonna have a navigation, you know, just typical home. By the way, you should always have a home button. That's something that people expect. They've studied this, usability experts and such. So make sure you just have a home button. People expect to see that. All right, we'll duplicate this. We're gonna do about. Take the test, I don't know, something like that, and then contact. All right, simple enough. I want to make sure we have, I'm just gonna eyeball it, but like roughly equal amount of white space from the end of contact to also over here from side to the G. All right, so for now that looks good. I'm fine with it. I may change things up just a bit. We want to make sure things are even up here. There we go. All right, so that's our header. It's very simple, obviously. I might want to scale this down just a tad bit. There we go. Keep them more in line with each other, I guess. All right, so now we want a headline. I want a headline. I talked about this recently, I think in my latest video, about the importance of understanding marketing and ad copy. And when we're talking about landing pages, you really want to make sure you're utilizing that very important text, the very first thing they're going to read, which is the headline, because it's bigger. You make it, you make it thicker and such. You make it really stand out, and you want to make sure you really speak to the audience well. So a skill assessment app that lets people assess their particular skills through a series of automated tests and problems. All right, so just thinking off the top of my head, trying to clear my mind by the fact that you guys are watching me right now, what type of headline would work here? So I'm just going to drag out here. And a skill assessment app. All right, so if you're taking this, you want to find a job, right? I think that's where the target audience, the target demo is, even though they said that this app will also connect you with employers. So employers could be coming to this page, but you might have a different landing page for the employers in order for them to post jobs. So we're just going to say this is directed at, this particular landing page is directed at individuals who are trying to find a job, and this will give you a skill assessment rating as well or something. So I'm just going to type something here, and it may or may not be what I choose, but I want to get the aesthetics right. All right, so All right, easily assess your skills in minutes. Now just from a purely UI design standpoint, what's wrong with this? If I left it like this is not a headline because it's the same weight as this, right? Same weight and font size as the logo. We want this to be big, right? So we establish that visual hierarchy, which places an emphasis on priority and what people should be seeing first by making it larger. And you can also do it through contrasting color and all these other things. Let's use our pay tone because that's one of the requirements. So pay tone, and let's beef that up. So this is a type of this is like a funner type of font, you know? It has character to it. All right. Easily assess your skills in minutes. And it's up to us, you know, we could really squish this in a little bit if we want to make room for like an illustration here. We could extend it out. We could extend it out all the way and center it, have an illustration. So there's a lot of subjective decisions that we can make with a landing page. For me, we're just going to do this for now. Maybe I'll come in. Easily assess your skills in minutes. Okay. Now we could bring this in a little bit more. There's also some subjective design decisions I could make, like in relation to this area. We can encase it in its own container, and as long as we adhere to all the other good UI design fundamentals based on the content that's sitting on top of it, like the logo and the navigation, we're fine. We could even, you know, maybe take this down a notch, down a lot to really frame it. These are largely subjective decisions that you can make. You don't have to. If you want to go ultra simple, you can do this too. For me, and by the way, we could also make this black and make the text, or almost black and make the text on top of white. There's a lot of decisions. So this is the fun part of design because a lot of it is subjective. We're just going to hide that for now. So easily assess your skills in minutes. We can have a sub-headline too, so where we can further elaborate on what exactly this is doing, or what the purpose of this app is. So I'm going to bring that out here. Maybe we can use the Qtive, is that how you, Qtive mono? Qtive? I don't know. Qtive mono. Bring that down quite a bit. And you want to have a lot, you want a big disparity between your headline and your sub-headline, because that will really help in establish that visual hierarchy. So now we need to elaborate a little bit more. You don't want to say the same thing, but at the same time, I'm kind of pressed here. People are watching me. At this point, I'm just going to put in a lorem ipsum. So we're going to go to, where are we at? Lorem ipsum, quick lorem ipsum. Oh, that's so frustrating. It's because we have I'm going to set this to 0. We're going to do that again. Plugins, lorem ipsum. There we go. So I don't want, you definitely don't want this amount of type on a landing page for a sub-headline. Nobody's going to sit there reading all this. Maximum would be this amount of text, really. And like right around there, right around that size, you know, give or take 8 points or so, you would be pretty good. So we'll leave this here for now. And I think that's probably pretty decent. Okay, right there is okay in my opinion. You wouldn't want that much more verbiage in this. So now, what else are we gonna have? Let's get rid of that. So if you want people to take a test, that's probably the action. Every page, every landing page should have a goal, right? An intended action, an intended flow that you want the user to take. So for our app, we want people right away, as fast as possible, to start the process of taking some sort of skill assessment. Now, you could just put a button in this case. You could put, you know, a button that says, take the test now, or start your assessment, something like that. But even better, in my opinion, would be to kind of introduce them to just maybe a form element first. And that would be UI designer, like maybe have them choose their role, what they, you know, choose their profession. And I think that would possibly do a little bit better. So what we'll do is I think I'm going to scale this down just a bit. Take that line height down. That way it's going to free up a little bit more space for this element that I want that's front and center. So we're going to have a container right here. All right. And this is going to be a container for like a form element. And I may change, how this is all structured. I'm just going to duplicate this. All right, this will be, let's see here. See, I could change this. Maybe I'll do that. Get rid of the border. Maybe extend this down. Now remember, you never want to rely on placeholder values because you want accessible forms. So we're going to put in something like choose your profession. Okay, something like that. I'm not sure if I want to use that Paytone 1. Does this have a no? Unfortunately, this does not have a bold font weight, and that's fine. And what we'll do in here, right click, arrange, bring to front. We'll put in like an example. So like we'll put like a UI, UX designer. I don't know, something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll put in a triangle here. Sorry, I'm not talking much, just focusing on getting this knocked out. All right, now again, all this stuff may change. I'm just getting it on there, and that's the most important part. It's just getting your fields on there as much as possible. So we're gonna duplicate this for the actual submit call to action button. And we want this to really stand out because it's a button, right? So we'll take this color, but this doesn't really contrast a lot because this is just pastel-y, So we can come up here, maybe slightly shift this. I kind of like this purplish. Yeah, I like that right there. That's very nice. So these work well with these colors right here. And then what we'll do is we will copy this, or not copy this, but we'll put in a text element, and we'll just put in start assess, no. Assess my skills. There we go. White. Why? Because we want maximum contrast on such an important button, right? So assess my skills. All right. Maybe we'll make it fun and put an exclamation point there. All right, and this is actually looking pretty decent. Now I'm not done because I do want to have some sort of relevant illustration, perhaps, in this area right here. And again, we can move this stuff over if we really want something here. There's a lot of different types of ways to tackle illustration and graphic design in relation to your UI designs. Like we could take all this stuff and like put it in the middle and then have kind of more of like a watermark approach. So it just all depends on what we come up with. So I'm gonna look through our UI goodies and just kind of think, what would make sense? What would be relevant and what would speak to the audience, to the visitor, based on this type of project where it has to do with, coming up with skills, assessing your skills, finding a job, something like that. There's multiple routes you could take. You could take the, a skill assessment is something like an automated process. This is obviously an automated process, so you can use some sort of automation imagery. You could have two people sitting down like in an interview setting. So you could just, anything like that. Obviously, I'm doing this on the fly, but you really want to take great care in deciding what type of illustration you want to use. So I'm just going to look around. I'm not going to show this whole process. I'll probably speed it up, and I'll choose and I'll stop it in the regular speed once I come up with something I think might work. All right, so I really like this one possibly, and also possibly this one, this illustration here. This one I was thinking maybe I could change the headline to something like "Climb the Ladder to Success," because ultimately that's what people want. You want to emphasize benefits over features, as I'd always say when it comes to your ad copy. The benefit here, you're not just taking a skill assessment because you want a skill assessment. You're taking a skill assessment because you want to have a job, you want to have a client, you want to make money. And so climbing a ladder, that's a nice abstract way of demonstrating visually what their ultimate goal is. This one right here, this kind of has more to do with the fact that you're taking a test. I think I might just choose this one. I'm not sure how these work. I never used them before. Let's go ahead and download that and see how this works exactly. I want the SVG. Download includes an SVG. Okay, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll give them their $3. Screw it, I'll give them $5. So I'll go ahead and do this and probably hide all my checkout information, and then we'll get it. All right, so here we go. I got it. Let's view the content. And we want the SVG specifically, so we'll download that. I'm gonna show that here in folder. That's off to the side. I hope that this is structured in such a way that I can easily modify it. Trying to drag it over, not sure what's happening. There it goes. It took a little time. My computer's just getting a little bit slow. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of work with this in order to get this to work how we want it to. So we're definitely gonna have to change this. See this this graphic right here? It's probably meant to work on a white background. So like if I change this to white, it's still messed up because it had the gradient option. Let me change this back to solid, make it white now. See, that looks better if it's on white. It was meant to work on white, but we wanna go ahead and make sure we're sticking with the requirements of our design and of this whole purpose. So we're gonna change this color and we'll figure out how to situate this in such a way that it works well and seamlessly with this area. So what I will do again is probably just fast forward this part and you can see what I'm doing in a time-lapse format. All right, so I kind of like how this has turned out. I do want to adjust this because I don't want to use lorem ipsum. I want this to be a polished landing page. But in terms of the design, I'm actually pretty happy with it. We identify, no, let's change this, by the way, to reflect the actual illustration. I don't know, quickly, something like that. I don't like that. Climb that ladder. I meant the. All right, climb the ladder to success. And then this is where we can put a. We provide you and employers with the tools to now take our lightning fast skill assessment to get, I misspelled that, to get matched up with employers today. Okay. There we go. All right, so I'm just adjusting things slightly here to my liking. Some of it is most of it is subjective, because by and large, people can read this, but getting the type right and getting the line height and all that stuff is ideal as much as possible. Yeah, overall, I pretty much, I do like this as it stands. Now, of course, this is just a small portion of a potential landing page. I'm sure some of you are wondering, you know, how exactly would you go about maybe adding more content to this? So what I would do is probably split this section up, either with a hard, just straight container like this, or you can take the more, I guess you could say, illustrative route and do, you know, something that's more curvy. You'll see, you know, different types of designs like that. And, you know, do you make this section, you know, would it be worth making it dark or white? A lot of that's up to you. A lot of that is subjective. We could even take this color. We could take this color, although that doesn't clash, that really doesn't contrast well. So that looks kind of ugly, but this actually works pretty well. We could take it even darker. So there's a lot of subjective ways to approach this. And then, you know, what makes sense below this? So maybe a person doesn't want to fill this out and start taking. Maybe they want to learn a little bit more about what exactly your product is. So what would make sense in this area is to have further information explaining, you know, what this service is. And you can do that in multiple formats. You can do that maybe like 3-column feature blip right here, where you have maybe an icon with a heading and then maybe a little brief descriptor, maybe one sentence that elaborates further on what this product is or the service. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to take it, but hopefully this will give you an idea of what you know the core purpose of what this whole exercise is about. It's thinking in terms of UI, you know, making sure everything works well. You have your color and contrast, your visual hierarchy, your typography, you have your alignment and white spaces all working well. And I think I've done a pretty good job here. And also in terms of UX as well, you know, thinking in terms of your ad copy, relevant imagery associated with it. So yeah, hopefully you guys found that helpful. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. You took something away from it, and hopefully you also participate. All right, so again, just do the same process that I did, the same exact process of, you know, choosing the random constraints, and then come up with a UI design, and then use the hashtag random UI. And that way I'll be able to check it out maybe for Friday's live stream, which I will be doing a live stream on this coming Friday. If you're watching, you know, in time and not in the future, I will show a few of the great examples. All right. So as always, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.